Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings Podcast. In the world of American genealogy, the U.S. federal census is foundational. It gives us names, ages, occupations, relationships, and places of birth at regular 10-year intervals. But for those researching ancestors in New York, there's another set of records that's just as important, and in many cases, more revealing. New York State conducted its own censuses in the years 1825, 1835, 1845, 1855, 1865, 1875, 1892, 1905, 1915, and 1925. These mid-decade enumerations weren't created for genealogists. They were developed for legislative redistricting, school funding, taxation, and local administration. But because of those civic needs, they captured details that federal enumerations often left out. And those details are invaluable. The earliest state censuses, 1825 through 1845, are limited. Many survive only in fragmentary form, often as statistical abstracts or head of household listings. But beginning in 1855, the census becomes far more detailed, listing every member of the household, their age, birthplace, marital status, and more. From that point forward, New York's state census records become one of the most consistent and information-rich alternatives to the federal census available anywhere in the country. Let's walk through what you can expect to find. In 1855, enumerators began recording each person's age, birthplace, years of residence in the current location, and whether they were native or foreign-born. The 1865 census, taken shortly after the Civil War, added questions about military service. If someone served, it often includes their regiment and rank. That same census also asked how many children a woman had ever born, information the federal census wouldn't include until 1900. In 1875, many of these categories returned, with additional details on occupation and citizenship. Then in 1892, things shifted. That census, while valuable, was a more basic enumeration. It typically listed just names, ages, and birthplaces, and didn't include household relationships or occupations. But because it sits between the 1880 and 1900 federal censuses, and because 1890 is almost entirely gone, it becomes a vital tool for tracking families during that critical gap. By 1905, New York had returned to collecting full household details, relationships to the head of house, race, age, birthplace, occupation, and citizenship status. The 1915 and 1925 censuses are among the most useful of all. They include full names, birthplaces of parents, education level, literacy, occupation, and citizenship progress. In many cases, these two censuses are better organized and more legible than the 1930 federal enumeration. The 1925 census, in particular, is noteworthy. It captures New York at a peak moment of immigration and industrial growth. It often includes young children who won't show up in federal records until 1930, and elderly relatives who may not live long enough to appear again. Now, it's important to acknowledge the limitations. Not every census survives for every location. Some towns or counties failed to submit returns, and preservation quality can vary. In cities like New York and Brooklyn, records can be incomplete or damaged, especially in earlier years. Indexing is also inconsistent. While the 1905, 1915, and 1925 censuses are name searchable on major platforms like Ancestry and Family Search, earlier ones often require browsing by enumeration district. Still, for most counties, large portions of these records have survived and are available on microfilm through state archives or in digitized form online. So how can you use these records in practice? If you're researching an immigrant family in Manhattan, for instance, the 1905 and 1915 state censuses will help you track that family's progress between arrival and naturalization. You can confirm changes in employment, see who attended school, and note when children entered the household. In rural areas, these censuses are especially helpful in confirming land ownership, household structure, and generational changes, especially where civil records are lacking. Let's take a case study. In the 1900 federal census, a man named Patrick O'Hara appears in Brooklyn with his wife Nora and 3 children. He's marked as an alien, so not yet naturalized. When we find the family in the 1905 New York State Census, Patrick is now marked as naturalized. 2 more children have been born, and 1 child is noted as attending school. These 5 years reveal a great deal: a shift in legal status, a growing household, and evidence of education, all things that won't be visible again until 1910. By 1915, the family has moved to a new ward. Patrick is listed as a foreman instead of a laborer, suggesting career advancement. 1 child is now employed, and another is identified as a student at a Catholic parochial school. That kind of detail helps us reconstruct not only the family tree, but the rhythm of their lives. These records also allow you to build a timeline around naturalization, migration, and even property changes. For women, especially those who were widowed or remarried between federal enumerations, these state censuses often provide continuity that's otherwise missing. In some cases, a woman listed as widowed in a state census may appear married again by the next federal enumeration, offering a narrow window to search for death or remarriage records. And for anyone working to compensate for the lost 1890 census, these state enumerations can be indispensable. The 1892 census, while sparse, may be the only surviving document for certain individuals between 1880 and 1900. If you're working without a clear index, try locating your ancestors' neighborhood through city directories or land records, then browsing by enumeration district. In rural areas, church registers or tax rolls can help narrow your search range. Ultimately, the New York State Census isn't just a useful tool, it's a necessary one. For those researching in one of the most complex, heavily populated, and historically layered states in the country, this series of records fills in critical gaps. It provides not just mid-decade updates, but insights into family structure, migration, education, and assimilation. These records were created for legislative and administrative use, but today, they help reconstruct lives, they connect missing generations, and in many cases, they offer the only proof we have that someone ever lived where and how they did. Coming up in the next episode, we'll explore the Iowa 1925 census, often called one of the most detailed state-level censuses in American history, and one that records information rarely found in any federal enumeration. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups, explore thousands of articles, and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy searching.